We're here.
Oh, I thought I had to put a thing in, like a title in. Let me see. I think it stopped. If you want to adjust, I think we're good. I have it up on this other screen.
I'm okay.
We're good.
You can see me a little bit.
Okay. All right. Oh wait. Oh, are we? Oh, it says we're live. Okay.
Oh,
So
hi.
I guess we are live. Oh, we are live. How about that? All right. So, all right. Wonderful. That's the greatest way to start out a show. By surprise. So, hey, supers, welcome to another Tank Talk. I'm Super Joe Pardo, and I have some wonderful guests for you here today for Q&A, as well as we're going to do some open door masterminding. So any issues that we've been experiencing in our businesses, working through that and kind of just building up, solving the problems as they come along. So if you have any questions, please feel free to drop them in the chat below. I'll add a ticker. So first, let me introduce who we got on the line so far. And I'm totally gonna butcher your last name. You knew it was coming. Lindsay,
say it for you.
Super Lindsay Flash Shower. Did I say it right?
Lindsay Flash.
Oh wow!
Yeah, I'm
Fly
surprised
shower.
how to even spell it. Yeah, so I went from Belugas to Flight Shower. You didn't get like Smith or Johnson or something easy. You're good.
Tell the super entrepreneurs about your what business you're on, and then what Shark Tank episode you were on, and I'll get this banner set up.
Sure. I'm Lindsay Fleischhauer. I'm co-founders of Totes Babies. My dad is the other co-founder, and we were on season 12, episode 17. So we just had our year Shark Tank anniversary. So that's exciting and so weird that it's been a year. I mean, looking back at everything, it's just a huge blur. So we have Totes Babies, which is the car seat carrier, the Totes Babies car seat carrier. So instead of putting your car seat in the shopping cart, you're able to put the Totes Babies car seat carrier horizontally onto almost all shopping carts, and you put your car seat in it, and you can fit all of your groceries, anything you're shopping for, in the shopping cart, and it adjusts to large carts like Costco all the way down to smaller carts like CVS, Walgreens, and yeah, that's what we are.
Awesome, and you did wind up getting a deal, right?
Yes,
I believe.
Yes. We went with Lori on the show. Yes,
Lori. Woo. Layla, give it up for Layla Shams from TA3, or EAT spelled backwards. Layla, please tell the super entrepreneurs about your business and what episode you were on Shark Tank.
Okay, it's Leela, not Layla.
Oh, Leela. Oh, geez. Oh.
I know. We discussed this last time. That's how my name is spelled. It doesn't make sense. I was on last season 13. I don't actually know my exact episode. I should know this, right? Is it 13? I feel like you would know that better.
Keep talking, and I will tell you.
My company is TA3 Swim. It's a shaping swimwear line, and we did not get a deal.
It was 12. I don't know what that's.
Oh, episode 12. Okay, got it. Season 13, episode 12.
So we were both on episode 12. No, I was sorry. Yeah, but
or the reverse.
Episode 12, right. But different. Yeah. Season 12.
And I actually contacted you on Instagram because I love the swimwear so much, and I reached out. I'm like, I need to get one. I love it. I love what you're doing.
I need to give you a suit. I'm gonna send you a code.
No, but and
I remembered your episode. I loved it. I thought it was great.
Well, it's just exciting to meet you kind of in person a little bit. So I'm so happy that we're
definitely
together.
Yeah. I told Lindsay when she reached out to me, I'm like, I reached out to so many other people in the fashion space that were on Shark Tank, before I went on, just asking questions or saying oh, I'm sorry you didn't get a deal or whatever. And no one got back to me. I'm like, I feel like we're in such a, a small community of people who have been through this experience. But actually Lindsay told me that there's a Facebook group, and I'm like, oh my God, I have to be in that.
And I added you on Facebook, so I'll add you to it too.
Okay.
I love that. I literally an hour ago was just talking to Sarah from from Curie, who was just on this past Friday, and she said that that was one of the things that she did in preparation for the show was reach out to a lot of different Shark Tank pitches that or entrepreneurs that she really enjoyed their pitch, and apparently all of them got back to her. Right?
Well, someone did. Actually, I did talk to one of the founders from Bala. He was super, super nice, and he actually gave me some good advice. Yeah, but some fashion people, no. That's typical of fashion, though. The worst people.
Oh, geez.
You got a baby business that reached out. Not that I'm that helpful, but
yeah. I know. I should have like branched out, and that's typical of me. Like I reached out to a couple people and just kind of stopped. I should have pushed a little farther.
Well, and I think that's a great lesson there, right? Of pushing
Right.
and I mean, Sarah, this interview won't come out till next Sunday, but she literally was just saying that like the Nordstrom said no, QVC said no like 3 times, but on the 4th or 5th time, like they actually said yes. Somebody else
Exactly.
is somebody
That's
else is
like
in the
it's
position.
sales 101. You gotta. I mean, the amount of people that reach out to me on a daily basis. I shouldn't even say this. Like, please stop emailing me because it is really overwhelming. Like the number of people that have apps and all sorts of when you have a direct to consumer business, there's so many people that are trying to work with you, and like Lord knows, like you don't acknowledge the email until it comes in for the 5th time. I hate to say that because it's so annoying, and it does like it really, really like buries your important emails under all those emails. But like Lord knows, you do have to keep pushing.
Yeah,
I think that is. I mean, I don't get nearly as many emails as probably either one of you get.
Right.
But it is something where if I don't generally get a second email, if it doesn't pique my interest on the first email and I don't get a follow-up email, I'm probably not the one that's going to follow up anytime soon.
No, of course
I'm
not.
as
Of
likely
course
to
not.
follow up as
Yeah,
quickly.
it's not on you. And I mean, that's kind of the theory behind sending so many emails. I mean, I'm really conflicted about that as a business. I don't like receiving emails from other businesses, and I don't like sending them to my customers. And the idea that most businesses send one every day, that blows my mind. But like the idea is like, yeah, you just have to stay in front of people or they forget about you.
Yeah.
I never want to be annoying, but you kind of have to.
I would agree.
I was arguing with my husband who's in sales, and I was like, I'm like, why do I have to send so many emails? Like, you think Gucci has a mailing list? You think Gucci's sending emails? And he's like, I guarantee that they are. And I went on the website, and there it was, the pop up with the sign up. I'm like, oh, okay, I guess everybody does it.
There's an interesting thing there. I think it was Gucci or one of those competing companies, right? The Coach or Gucci or whatever.
Right.
They created a special item in Roblox, which I had never really played. My kids really wanted to play it recently. In like the last year, I kept like, no, you don't just play Minecraft. It's fine. You just keep playing Minecraft. But the idea that there would be a digital item for like $4,500 when the bag, like the physical bag, it was like something like 3,000, right? And the marketing idea behind that is enabling Gucci, I think it was Gucci, to be relevant for the younger generation when they get older, because they're not like, ew, like why would I care about a bag that's $4,000 or $3,000? Because people want a bag now, like the kids want it now because it's so unobtainable. So they see somebody in the game with it, and it's like, whoa, like they paid $4,500 real dollars to have this thing. So the marketing message of scarcity, but also at the same time just putting it in front of people, unobtainable, for some people can be powerful apparently.
That's so much cooler and more clever than an email, though.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, that's what everyone wants to be, like super cool, super like forward thinking marketing, and you're like, oh, actually, I'm gonna send like a discount code in an email,
What do you think, Lindsay?
I'm sorry, what?
What do you think?
I'll be real honest. We don't send a ton of email blasts. Maybe 1 to 2 a month, maybe 2.
Okay.
I'm the same way. I would rather spend energy on other sources. TikTok, we've been working on a lot of different social media. I feel like trying to stay ahead of the game with that. I personally, when I get any emails, a lot of times I'm like, unsubscribe, you know, and it's me personally. And I think it depends on the product as well. And there's times too that I've gotten emails and I'm like, oh, I forgot about that. It does put it in the forefront of your mind. However, it's annoying at times. So it's weeding through all of that, but also we do still do it, just not on a daily, weekly basis by any means.
I think it comes down to the person and how they and I'm going to use a kind of a cliched funny word for inbox, for a digital mail inbox, but how they honor their inbox, right? Like if they're a inbox zero person, I don't want a ton of things coming in that it's just clogging it up versus like somebody who's like, I got 50,000 emails anyway. Just, maybe I open it, maybe I don't. I just move on to the next one. There's 50,000 other ones. So what the heck?
I'm obsessed with inbox zero people, though. I think that's fascinating. Like my customer service person is an inbox zero person, and I have like our like work email like in my email, so mine will be like 30,000 unread, and hers will be like at 3. You know, like
and those 3 probably give her anxiety.
Right? Oh, totally.
Yeah, I have friends that are like they'll have their phones out and they're like, oh gosh, look at my email and it says like 500,000. I'm like, like no. But I'm the person that if I get text messages, I read them and I delete them. Like I keep everything. It's weird.
That's so impressive to me.
It's not. It's because then I look back. I'm like, what did they say again? I deleted it, or you know.
we have this message here from Super Denny Decoy watching in the chat. Do you think it's okay to go on Shark Tank with a prototype? Who wants to take the first stab at this?
I mean, I think that it seems to me it's getting harder and harder to get on with if you don't have sales and if you don't have an existing business. I mean, I tried to get on the year before I actually did get on, where I was just, prototypes just about to launch. And I didn't get on, and then I got on the following year when I had sales. So if you can make it through the process, then I think it's fine. But I think it would be hard to get on without sales now.
I agree. I think go ahead and try it. It can't hurt to try it because you can try every year to get on the show. So I say if you think you've got a great prototype, do it. But also in the meantime of the waiting process, get moving on what you want to do with prototype and work on getting the actual product to get the actual sales to back it up when you do.
Oh, I don't know what happened there. It just kicked us all out for a second. So I'm sorry. So finish what you were saying, Lindsay.
That was it. I was just saying if you have the prototype, it doesn't hurt. It never hurts to try anything, right? So try it and apply. And however, in the meantime of the waiting process, go ahead and work on getting the actual physical product. And once you have the product, backing it up with sales. If you don't get on one season, keep trying. I mean, it's Kim from Click and Carry tried 7 times?
Yes.
Wow.
Amazing. So, yeah. That's what I think.
Yeah, I would agree. You do just have to keep trying, and sometimes it's just not the right time for that product. I keep going back because it's fresh in my mind. The interview I just did with Sarah from Curie, she went to QVC and they were like, oh yeah, clean products just aren't a thing for us right now. But then the very next year they were, like, all of a sudden it became a thing. So obviously there was a thing before that, but a thing that they could actively have on there and sell and take it to a level that maybe they felt they couldn't, or they just literally tried and couldn't get it there a year earlier, 2 years earlier, because it was just too ahead of the curve.
It could also be that they have whatever the prototype may be or whatever the product is. Maybe they already have something similar. Maybe they have too many baby products or too many fashion things, or, they have to work around the season too, right?
That's a great point. You just sometimes you don't know what relationships, what things are in the works that you just don't know about because you're not like in there, or the internal politics of that company that you're trying to get into, to break into, like who's getting ready to leave, but it hasn't said it yet, and they're just like putting off emails and like letting things go, the reins go a little bit. You just don't know until you're in it and you get to make those relationships with people. Leela, I wanted to say your fingernails, the rainbow color is awesome.
Yeah,
by the way.
you like? Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. I'm like
very nice. Denny also asks, let me see here. He also asks, what's the best way to find a manufacturing company besides looking on Google? How do you get evaluation for your product? Well, that's two questions, Denny. Those are some big questions there. Do either one of you wanna take a stab at this first?
I am a huge fan of Upwork. I basically built my company with Upwork freelancers. Upwork is a freelance website, and there's a lot of people on there that will design prototypes. I mean, I'm not sure, Denny, what market you're in, but they'll design them, and there are people who will help you source stuff. So I would try posting a job on Upwork. They for the design, because you're not gonna I don't know how far you are in the design process, but you're not really going to be able to approach manufacturers without a really clear design. You can get the design made. You can actually, if it's something that's like 3D printable, someone could do a 3D print of it. And then you also have sourcing people on Upwork. So I love Upwork. People always make fun of me. I'm like, get them on Upwork.
Yeah, I would also say networking, asking around for people that are in the business of whatever your product may be, asking other people in that business who they've used, or if they know somebody who knows somebody. I think networking is a huge thing too, and it never hurts to ask somebody, even if it's somebody that's been on Shark Tank or somebody that has a huge business. You never know unless you ask. So I think that's a huge way we used for our packaging. 99 Design. It's also probably similar to Upwork to get our packaging done. I think some people spend boatloads of money on packaging and design when there's people that are so amazing in the Upworks, in 99 Design. And it's looking into different resources like that is huge for starting a business and a product.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, logos, getting your website built, all the stuff that goes into the beginning of setting up your business. Like, there are agencies that will charge you hundreds of thousands of dollars. And I'm sure for prototyping and design too. But now, especially because no one wants to work a full-time job, there's amazing people that are freelancing.
Agreed.
There are. I think both those options are great. There's a bunch of other services out there as well, like well, there was like that Design Pickle was out for a while, but that's like if you needed like a lot of graphic design for an extended period of time. And then friends of this show is Penji, located in Philadelphia here. It's like, I want to say it's like $2.99 or $3.99, and it's basically unlimited graphic design per month. It's per month, but unlimited graphic design.
I need
so
that.
if you have like that kind of need,
I need that. What's
I'll
it
hook you up
called?
with Jonathan.
Yeah,
Penji?
send it to me.
I'll send it over to you. They PENJI.com, I believe. It might be .net, but I'm pretty sure it's .com.
PENJI. Okay.
Yeah, very good friends of mine, Kai and Jonathan. They started out in Camden, New Jersey, and they moved over to Philadelphia. But yeah, I think it's like the base package is like $2.99, and then if you need like presentations and things like that done, then there's like a pro package. I think that might be $4.99 or $5.99 a month. But yeah, if you have like a large swath of graphic design things to get done, like they do some really amazing work over there. And you get to work with like the same people over and over, easily
That's
work
great.
with those same people. But he said so. Denny does say that he has designs and 3D images already, and that he loves all of us, which is awesome. Very
Thank
much
you.
appreciated, Denny.
And happy St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah, happy St. Patrick's Day. I'm not wearing green. I am wearing green. It's on my watch. I got the right there.
Oh gosh, I didn't even think about it. Well, I have one.
You got green. Yeah, there you go. That's more than 0. And then his other question about figuring out valuation. How do you get a valuation for your product? Do you want to talk about either one of you want to start with
I mean,
how you found your valuation?
There is no valuation without sales, is there? Is that a thing?
So I would argue yes.
With a patent. With a patent.
So well, with a patent, research and development time, like there's things like, and then assets. You know, if you had to invest in, say, a lab or something to that effect. I mean, it's not going to be super amazing amount of valuation, but your time is worth something. The knowledge that went into building something, the relationships that you had to build with maybe getting that manufacturer is worth something. You know, we're not talking about maybe depending on what level we're talking about, because we might be like, hey, we're making the next self-driving car and it's going to take 5 years, right, or 10 years for us to get there. Is there really a value on that 2-3 years into the development process? Well, you have no sales by that logic, right? But there's something to be said for the development time. Right. The personnel, establishing that team. So there's definitely some, I mean, look, how many apps have there been? It's like, we got nothing, you got no sales, but we got, 100,000 users.
I think like all my business knowledge basically comes from Shark Tank. So like they so poo-poo anyone that doesn't have sales that that's like where I go. I'm like, yeah, but of course there's a value to a business without sales. Right. I just don't know it.
In general too, though, if we're speaking Shark Tank terms, they want to see sales and that the product is something that could grow in sales to have that. That's what I would think. That's how I think actually about it.
Yeah, I mean, generally speaking, they want to see sales because they want to put gasoline on a fire, right? Versus like, hey, and a great example of this is that tire company that was on, with the space tire company that was on a couple episodes back, right? They weren't quite there yet. They had no sales. They still weren't 100% sure how they were going to marry the rubber to the tire itself. They were, they had some ideas, but having ideas and like actually proving it is a different thing. And the Sharks were like, yeah, this is cool, but how many people are going to spend $500 per tire or $1,000 per tire or something like that? So without having a clear path to like, okay, we're a year out from being able to actually sell the thing, it makes it really hard because it's like you're asking for a lot of money, because that's the other side of it, right? Is how much money are we talking about pre-making the sales? If we're talking about $100,000, we're talking about $50,000 or $25,000. It's a big difference to like $500,000 or $1 million, and it's like, well, we're gonna get sales eventually. Assuming everything goes right, we're gonna be right there.
I mean, I will say this as well. I am so glad that I didn't get on the first season that I tried to get on. Because if you're not, it's kind of a waste of a lot of time and a lot of effort if you're going to air and you're not ready to go. I mean, I guess the assumption is that once you get an investment, your prototype gets manufactured and you kind of rush it through or whatever. But I don't know. I didn't get a deal, but they're not as hands-on as you think they are, so you kind of want all your ducks in a row. And by the way, you have no idea when you're going to air, so like you could air very close to the time you tape. So if you're not ready, if you don't have production in stock, if your website isn't ready to go, then all that attention is going to be wasted. So I think like Lindsay said, there's nothing wrong with applying, but I am so grateful that I didn't get on until I was ready to go, because it's a lot of work and you'd hate to waste all that time and all that energy if you're not ready to make sales from it.
Yeah, there's so much work involved. My dad and I would be like, this is like 3 jobs in one, just getting
Right.
everything prepared for Shark Tank, and then not even knowing, are you going to air or not? When are you going to air? What did we do this for? Not even being able to air, so you do your ducks in a row. You're right. And I think, just like I've said before, being prepared, the preparation is the key to success. I've said before, but having, as you said as well, the ducks in a row to be prepared for what they're going to throw at you, but also when you air, it's weeks, months and months later, and your sales could be totally different. So you want at least something to back up what you're showing when you air.
Right.
So
yeah, you don't want to. I mean, having pre-orders is great, but it'd be a lot better to have actual sales to go off to the races with. A great example of this. So I interviewed Regina from Diaper Dust, and it just went live on Sunday. And she was talking about how they sold out so quick, blah 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 blah. But then her phone kept going off as if she was collecting more sales. She's like, "We don't have the inventory for that," and she panicked. And I was like, "Regina, I'm so glad. Oh God, I'm so glad that you were able to still take orders rather than just sending people away. And they took like something
So
like
she
600 or
did
700
pre-orders?
orders. Well, they weren't intentionally pre-orders. They just
Oh, she
oversold the
oversold.
stock.
That's
Yes,
happened
that
to
they
me
had
before.
available.
Yeah. That actually ends up, it's a logistical nightmare, but yeah, it's better than losing all those sales because the people don't really come back. And I could say the Shark Tank audience, I mean, to me, Shark Tank is really similar. It's been the same for us as going viral in other places. So, I was kind of thinking, oh, people will keep rewatching it and you'll keep getting this, like, all these like sales, because for us it's like we normally know where our sales are coming from, but if it's just a Google search, or if it's direct, it's probably coming from Shark Tank. But it's surprising how many people watch it on the first night and the second day. Like, it was really 1 week where you get that burst of sales. And after that, I mean, me personally, I never watched it the same week. I would watch it like
Right.
weeks or even months later. But I guess since that's so scattered, and so you really only get that rush of sales right after it airs. So yeah, if you don't have that inventory, then they're probably not coming back. So you want to try to sell as much as you can.
We actually, when the week before we aired, it was actually a blessing in disguise that we aired later on in the season, because we got our inventory like the week before we aired,
Oh,
and we
wow.
were completely out. And it was, because logistically everything going on, even a year ago or 2 years ago, a year ago when we aired, sorry, things were crazy then. We never knew when it was coming in, and it came in the week before. So it was like,
That's
was
really lucky.
huge blessing. I can't even believe it happened.
It's
And Joe's choking.
just dying.
Somebody help him.
yeah.
The other thing, like for us, is there was a huge burst of customer service inquiries. There was a huge burst of phone calls. Like, our normal customer does not call, but the Shark Tank customer a lot of them were a lot older than the customers that we're used to, and they like to talk on the phone. They wanted to know that, like, we were legit, whatever, so we got a lot. We had to set up a phone number and we had to deal with a lot of phone calls. We also got way more returns than we normally get. So we luckily had kind of like, we had made our website like nicer right before, and we were prepared with some of the stuff that, like, a year before, it would have completely destroyed us, because it was a lot of work, not just like getting all the orders sent out, but dealing with all the returns, dealing with all the customer service inquiries, so many emails, and then the emails again when people wanted to make a return or exchange. So it was a big customer service rush.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that is dealing with a different type of customer that you're going to get that you wouldn't normally have access to, or wouldn't see the product in general. Or maybe even think about it, right? Because the Shark Tank effect of like, I think it's funny that you mentioned that there were so many people that wanted to find out if it was like a legitimate business. But I guess in the sense of not getting a deal, you know, those savvy Shark Tank viewers would be like, well, maybe there was something that was said that made him think like, oh, maybe this isn't, you know, a legit business.
If we had gotten a deal, they'd be like, oh, like Mark Cuban's running the company, I'm not worried about it. You know what I mean? But it's like, oh, I was a failed company. You know, a lot of people were like, oh, it's great that you're still in business. It's like, yeah, we are still in business. We are thriving. Like, we've actually... Yeah, we had something go viral right before. We were at 1.5 million in sales when we taped it, and we're at 7 million in sales now. And a very small portion of that is from Shark Tank. So yeah, we're thriving. People thought like, and that's kind of the problem with Shark Tank. If you don't get a deal, people are like, oh, like, I'm so sad for you. Like, how are you doing? Like, how are you, you know, like, how are you still in business? It's like, no, we're doing okay. We're doing good. We're legit.
That is definitely, well, that goes to the point of the people that are watching that just don't, you know, they're entrepreneurs in some cases, right? Or they just don't understand, like, there's no such thing as bad publicity, right? And in the case of Shark Tank, it might not, just because it's a different access to a different audience that you wouldn't necessarily be targeting. It doesn't mean that that's bad. It just means, you know, it just
people really have this perception that, like, if you don't get a deal, and of course everyone goes on there wanting a deal. You want a deal, you want someone, you know, you don't just want the money, you want the partnership, and it is a great boost to your business. But you know, it's just a small part, we've talked about this before, of, like, you know, entrepreneurship and building a company it is a marathon. It is not a sprint. And Shark Tank, whether or not you get a deal, is a very small part of the whole picture. Like, people think it's make or break, and it's not. You know, it can, but there's plenty of people who've gotten deals and failed. There are plenty of people who got deals and it never closed, and there's plenty of people who didn't get a deal and are doing amazing. So, you know, it's a part of the puzzle, but it's not the whole thing by any means.
And it's also, you have to think about it. I heard a statistic that just getting to air on Shark Tank, or getting to pitch in front of the sharks on Shark Tank, it's been what now? Almost 14. They'll be on their 14th season. There's only a little over 1,000 people that have been able to do that. So to be a part of the percentage is huge. Out of how many people try out, or, you know, try to get on the show, it's insane to be able to get in front of those entrepreneurs, those sharks, and be able to show your product to the world. That's in itself huge.
Right.
Absolutely. We just kind of answered this question here. Did you increase in sales after airing on Shark Tank? And Leela, you did, kind of regardless. How about you, Lindsay?
We did. And the thing I think we're most proud of is that we grew, probably since airing on Shark Tank, about 400% maybe in sales, but we consistently, so we didn't just air on Shark, and I'm sure this has happened with other businesses. They air on Shark Tank and it's like, we got this burst of sales, and then, you know, the sales go down. Our goal with Totes Babies was to consistently keep and grow the sales, add new products, keep things growing, and not just ride the wave of Shark Tank and think, oh, we're just going to ride this wave for the rest of our business. We wanted to keep growing, and we have. So it's consistently been growing as we've been adding new products. And I think that in itself that's the key, you know, not just airing on the show and getting that big burst of sales. It's keeping it and being consistent and growing that and adding things to the business so that your business doesn't fail.
I think it's important to mention too that the sharks aren't necessarily just looking for the sales to boost because of Shark Tank. You know, they're investing, you know, hundreds of thousands of dollars because they expect it to grow outside of the one, you know, giant wave of sales that are going to come in because of the exposure that Shark Tank brings to the table.
Yeah, I always say, like, if Shark Tank was a sure thing for sales, then they would invest in every single business. Right. They know that, you know, again, it's a part of the puzzle. For me, it was the day that it aired was our second biggest day ever. So it was definitely big for us. It wasn't the biggest. It's been part of our overall growth. Like I said, it's very much like a TikTok going viral. We had like an InStyle article that basically went viral. It was like posted on Apple News or whatever. That was amazing. Like right now, we have a TikTok that's going to like 3 million views. Like Shark Tank gets 4 or 5 million views. So it's basically like going viral, and that is amazing when it happens for your business. But it's like no one can exist on just being a viral product, like you have to back that up with all sorts of other marketing and all sorts of other things that you're doing.
You have to keep on, and I think with at least with our business with Totes Babies, I feel like I'm constantly trying to think of what's going to be the next big thing, after TikTok or after, it's like Facebook, Instagram, okay, TikTok is big now. It's like keeping up with what is on trend, and also always thinking of, for us, new ideas for the business, and not just settling, at least for our business. And if you want to succeed with the business, not settling where you're at, always trying to grow and reach new goals.
Right.
So FSYS, do you guys believe in the law of attraction?
100%. I am like such a self-help person. Like if you look at my audio book library, it's pathetic. I think I have the most extensive self-help library of all time. But yes, of course, that's 101, law of attraction 101, of course.
Also, I've had every year now since we started the idea of Totes Babies, I have a dream board, and it's now like a poster. It's in my office, a poster board. It keeps getting bigger and bigger. Soon it's going to be like the wall. But it's just to have that in all the time. And also when we were preparing to, fly to Vegas or not fly to Vegas, we were right in the, the midst of the pandemic. So we actually pitched in Vegas. And not knowing if we were going to go or not, I had the Shark Tank cast on my fridge in my bathroom. And I had it everywhere, and I would look at it every day. And my dad and I would practice a couple times a week. We'd practice outside, and we just knew we were going to do it. We just didn't know when. So I think that the dream board thing, a lot of my friends make fun of me for it. And they're like, okay, cool. Like, it's a big old poster in your room. And I'm like, just wait, I'm checking things out.
No, you've got to do it.
I have one when I was like single, and I put a Cocker Spaniel dog on there, and I ended up getting a dog then. And he was a Cocker Spaniel. I mean, just things that, big or small, if you have it in front of you, you're more likely to reach that goal. Just like if you're
and you make decisions that will get you there.
Right. Exactly.
I think that I messed up though, because I never imagined myself getting a deal. I always just imagined myself walking down the hall. I did that all day, every day. Din, 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 walking down the hall. I always pictured it. And when I walked it, I was like, here we go. It's happening. I stopped there. I had stopped there in my mind, and honestly, I think it's for the best. And I was talking to someone who did get a significant investment, and they're like, you're so fucking lucky. Like I said, like we were at, I think 1.4 million in sales then. We're at 7 million in sales now. I think probably without Shark Tank, we'd be at 6 million. So if I had given away the piece of the business that I was willing to give away on that day, I would be kicking myself. I'd be so upset because I was able to grow it to where it needed to be grown on my own, bootstrapping it. So maybe that's why, but I never pictured getting a deal. I only pictured walking down the hall, and that's what happened. I walked down the hall into the abyss.
It's hard enough. I remember thinking at night over and over, there's no way I'm going to be able to walk down that hall. There's no way. No way. And then I'm like looking down at my feet before we actually did it. I'm like, why did I wear heels? What was I thinking? What am I going to say? It's like you kind of like blow out where you're like, am I, oh my gosh, like, do I have hives? And it's like, what the heck is going on? Is this actually happening? So it's almost like you kind of just go and you just black out, and like, it's just like,
right.
It's crazy.
Oh yeah, I basically had a stroke. I mean, if you see my episode, I yelled a curse word and like blacked out in the middle of it. So
That's for
yeah,
good
that
TV,
certainly
though.
wasn't on my vision board.
That's
But
right.
yeah,
That's awesome.
it's a lot scarier than it looks.
Yes, yes. I was saying, I think to you, Joe, my husband and I, when we were dating or engaged or something, we would watch the show once in a while, and we would make up, like, this was before Totes Babies and everything, and we would make up, like, walking down, like, in my townhouse, like, dun, 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 and he'd be like, hi, I'm Mark, and I'm the inventor of blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, could you imagine actually doing that? That's so terrifying. And then when I did it, I'm like, terrifying.
That is so the law, law of attraction. I am very much on the. I mean, I personally, I don't do vision boards. I do I write like a letter almost every year, and in that letter I write like what I want to happen, and not like a New Year's resolution, just like, and it's not even just for that year. It's like 2, 3, 5 years out, like what I want things to look like and where I want to be, and for me, it just helps clear my mind, because otherwise it all just rattles around up there, and it makes it harder to focus.
You got to clarify the vision.
100%, 100%. The follow-up question was, what's the best self-help book you read?
Oh God, I'm embarrassed to say mine, honestly.
Oh, she was so embarrassed she left.
Well, she's gone.
She'll be back. Oh.
Oh.
That's how embarrassed I was. I don't know what happened.
I've read a lot. I can't even think. I don't even.
I love the what's the? Oh, did you?
I did. Yeah.
I love that. What are they called? You gotta.
Yeah. So one is 31 life-changing concepts. That was the first one I did.
Oh yeah.
The second.
Nice.
The second one was How to Dream Big and Win, which is actually a coloring book. So you can get it online, like as a digital ebook, but you can buy it on Amazon. I would get it in print, so you can actually do the coloring part. And then the third one was I Self Empower, which was like 160 self affirmations. But it's like, if you've ever seen, what's the name of the artist? The one that does like the prints over and over and over again, like the same. It's like the same picture but in different colors. Warhol, yeah. So it's like that. But I wrote like the self affirmations over and over and over on the page, and then I use them as I use the opposite of like black text on white. So it's white text on black to paint letters onto each page, and there's hidden messages throughout the whole thing, almost like a flip book. Yeah.
That's so cool.
That one took 10 days to do. And it was a fun experiment, but yeah,
cool.
So those are the three, but if I had to pick one outside of that, man, I would say either both or either of Kevin Hart's audiobooks.
Oh, interesting.
I don't know the names of them, but both of them are phenomenal listens. Like really.
Yeah,
really,
I listen
really
to all audiobooks. I don't actually physically read. So mine is You Are a Badass, which like the tone of it is so embarrassing. It's so bad. Like you have to be able to get past that, because the content is real. And I've also You Are a Badass about money, I think is the second one, about limiting beliefs about money. I love them. I mean, especially the first one. I listened to it a million times. It's especially hard to recommend to a man because of the tone. It's hard to get past, and I've recommended it to a lot of friends, and they just couldn't get through it. Like it can be extremely corny, but like the message is so great. It helped me a lot.
I like it too, and I think with different ones I've read throughout, I don't know, the past 10 years, I take little tidbits from each of them, and I find myself when I do even little, like, just talk with different people, I'll find myself saying a quote from one of them, and I'm like,
yeah, like you didn't even realize how much you like. Yeah,
you keep it in there. Yeah.
Is there one that you don't like? Because I can name one that
there's so many where you start and you're just like, oh, I can't. There's a lot more bad ones than there are good ones, let's put it that way. Another good one, but and I wouldn't this is a little bit more spiritual, but The Untethered Soul. I don't know if you guys have read that one. That's a really good starter to like that's a real Oprah book, you know what I mean? But it's really just about letting things go and not ruminating on things. 'Cause I think a lot about and that's why self-help works, and that's why so many entrepreneurs are obsessed with self-help because you kind of have to be happy and you have to be if not happy positive and optimistic because if you're not going to get into it like everyone who's not an entrepreneur they're just like oh my god I could never do that they have ideas but they're like I could never do that because of this like you have to be kind of like a little bit super optimistic and kind of like a little bit I mean some people consider you dumb or crazy or whatever like you have to be able to do things that most people would say, "Oh, that's never going to work," because the odds are against you, and that's really where self-help comes in and says, it's not about your circumstance; it's everything is about your mindset.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, one I would say I was severely underwhelmed by was The Subtle Art of Not Giving an F.
Oh, I can't. The tone I couldn't do. I couldn't get. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I tried listening. I listened. I got through it, but I just was left with like I don't understand why so many people think so highly of this book.
No,
like,
but you know what I think it is? It's because when people first dip their toe in the world of it, they've never even thought about mindset. So any book in their first book, and because of the title, people who aren't normally into self-help get into it. So a lot of times a book will be really popular, even though people like us who read all of them are like, oh, this is 101 crap. Everybody knows this. It's super repetitive. But if you never thought like that, you're like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I would. So I would. You know what? That's a fair point. So I would say that Kevin Hart's first book is way better because it's more about his life than it is the second. The second one's like, if you're like adolescence to teenager, late teenager, and have like no direction, no real good like mentor figure in your life, and you just don't know what you don't know, like that's a great book for you. Like I listened to it and was like, yeah, this is all basic stuff. Like I already wrote about some of this stuff in my book.
Right. You're like, I literally wrote this book.
Yeah. So, for me it's like, that's cool. But yeah, the first book, absolutely, like that's the one that stands out.
That's great.
What was it? There was another question, a couple little questions here. Al Williams, what's up, Al? Says, is there a time limit to to pitch your idea on Shark Tank? So I think the request from the producers is like a minute and a half, right? If I'm not mistaken.
The actual pitch?
The
actual
pitch. Yes, it has to be very short.
It has to be short. But the timeline that you're in there, some people have been in there for a couple hours, but yeah, the actual
2 hours, yeah.
Is a certain very short.
Let's see. A Patel says, did you have a better experience with product designers or manufacturers, or both went smooth?
Oh, manufacturing never goes smooth. I personally am a designer. I'm a product designer. So design, excellent. Manufacturing never goes smooth. It's a nightmare.
We actually, our manufacturers are great because my dad was friends with them. They're overseas, but he knew them ahead of time. But with how anything's going overseas right now, getting it here, that's the messy part. And as far as the product designing aspect, the designer we've used for all of our packaging and our iPhone holder, iPad holder, and the products we're working on now, he's from 99 Design. He's actually in Ukraine. So I posted about him recently that he's still working. He's actually working on our next packaging, but it's difficult, obviously, what's going on over there. But we still work with him, and that it's actually been so kind of cool meeting somebody from a different country that's working on our different packaging and design that we've been working now with for almost 4 years. So I think both experiences were great, but as far as manufacturing, anything overseas right now is crazy.
Yeah. I mean, well, for the last 2 years, it's been a crazy ride. From shipping, manufacturing to shipping to literally, I mean, getting materials and everything is quite a challenge as a whole. Let's see. This question is how long are the pitches? Like an episode is edited and many parts are not included. How long is a pitch in general? I mean, generally, 45 minutes to an hour, hour and a half.
45 minutes. That was
Yeah.
mine. 45, I think.
And then usually around, like, kind of, I was in there like, I don't even know how long we were in there for, because it's like,
I know I was blacked out, but I think the timing.
I mean, we left there and I was like, did I cry? Like, I'm like, just like,
right.
What happened in there? But also, so yeah, usually ours was probably, I think, around 45 minutes, but the actual first initial pitch, they don't usually edit a lot of that. I don't think, I think, I mean,
mine was edited.
I think the first little initial pitch part is where that's why they keep it short, so that they can not have to edit that. I think.
Yeah, I mean, or edit much of it. Like, I mean, you see, like, there's probably time, like, when there's like, oh, we're gonna walk over here and do a demonstration, and they, they chop that off because there's no reason to see somebody walk across the stage for, 5 seconds is a long time when you're talking about trying to get an hour down to 8 minutes, or it's every second, literally every second counts.
Right.
And it's funny because you'll see when, like, there's anomalies like that where there's extended periods of time where it's like they didn't need to have that breath there, or they didn't need to like have that extended, like them staring at the camera right before they hi sharks, kind of thing. It's like, well, they did because they have to make the show fit the commercial scheme, for commercial purposes. So it's like, oh, did this second matter or not matter? But it's just funny to see things like that.
But I think sometimes they also too want to show, well, like my pitch was edited because I yelled a curse word and there was a long pause afterwards, and then I had to like get my stuff back together. So that took up a big portion of the time that was allotted for the pitch. So then they cut the end of it.
That was great TV though. I watched that episode. Like, first of all, I loved the pink suit. Okay, that was
thank you.
And then when I saw that, I'm like, she rocks. This is good.
Thank you. It got me aired at least.
Yes.
FSY says, are you guys debt free, and do you avoid getting into debt? I think that's a really great question.
I am pretty much debt free. We take Shopify loans, so you pay them off with your sales, which is amazing. So yes, you're in debt, but it's like a really short term, high interest debt. So not too bad.
Right. Ours is through, we pretty much invest into our next products. We're working on a new product right now. So we're actually grateful that we grew so much to be able to invest into what we're working on now.
Yeah. We're generally self-funded, but we do take those Shopify loans when we get them. And basically Shopify, once you start getting a little bit of sales, and they've been offering them since the beginning. Once you get a little bit of sales, they'll give you a loan to basically be able to buy more inventory so they can continue to make money. So they really help you fund your inventory, because what ends up happening is, like, even when you're bootstrapping, your sales from 1,000 pieces are not going to buy you 10,000 more pieces, So even though we're profitable, you end up needing help to get the inventory to keep growing. And that's where they've been great.
I mean, that's one of the things that really on both of your ends is really helpful. So in my world, where we would buy inventory, and then maybe like 80 to 90% of the people we would sell it to would have terms. So they wouldn't pay us for 30 days, 60 days, sometimes 90 days, and in some extreme cases longer than that. So we had to fund, the bridge, bridge the gap there between, like, hey, we bought said inventory, we sold said inventory, and now we need to wait 60, 90 days plus to actually collect the money. And that's where you can really start to get in trouble, especially if you say sell a lot to one big customer, and you're like, oh, and I mean, this could happen to either one of you. Oh, we're selling to Walmart, hooray! And they're like, cool, like we'll send you the money, eventually.
No,
And
thank
in the
you. I mean,
meantime,
I've been a designer for over 20 years. I always worked with wholesale businesses. It is so challenging. Exactly. It's hard to fund the POs. A lot of times, like especially with old school department stores, they would send back your merchandise or they would sell it at such a heavy discount you can't make money. Like direct to consumer is such a blessing. It really is. Like you've so much control. And it's like if it's not working out, you could just get out of it, versus like having all these people owe you money and it's just so messy.
Right. And I think we're in different products, but for us, I think that people that have a product like we have, some people don't realize that when it comes to retail, there's so many other things that go into, like, for instance, we are working with different retailers, but we know that we're going to be making money because of the different costs that come in with it. Do you know what I mean? Because some people think, oh, great, we're going into Walmart, yet they're not going to make any money because they don't realize the different things that are taken out from that. So that's something too. If you are an entrepreneur with a product watching this and you want to get into retail, make sure you know what they take out from the, Walmart, Target, Bye Bye Baby, whatever it is, before trying to go that route.
Yeah. I mean, so yeah, I not debt adverse. I think it's just a matter of being really smart about the debt that you take on and using it tactfully or tactily. I can't talk right now. But you making sure that you're using it very smartly and not just using it as a tool, not like oh, free money, like let's go to town and bet the house on it.
Right. Like I think it's best if if it's possible, to test the concept before you start putting a ton of money on it. We talked about this last time. It's like that's what I did. I made a small amount, it wasn't a huge investment. And there are ways to develop your product that isn't a huge investment either. Like try to do it as cheap as possible. Get your first product, put it out there, and of course it depends on what it is, but for us, like we were able to get a website made by an amazing person on Upwork. We were able to get our product developed, buy a small amount of it, start running ads, like just like a cheap ad we made ourselves on Facebook. And again, like you can use freelancers to use that to do that, or we did it ourselves. I did it myself, and just see if there's interest, see if there's people responding to it before you start taking on huge amounts of debt. And don't work with these manufacturers that have gigantic minimums where you're going to get stuck. Your product will evolve many, many times. Like you're not going to have the same exact product you started in the beginning than you will in the end. So buy it really small, test it, get feedback, see what people are thinking, and then start to put the money into it. I think a lot of people on Shark Tank, there's so many people have said, oh, we bought all this inventory because we had these huge minimums, or to make the mold, we had to do this. No, find another manufacturer. Don't do that.
Yeah. And I think that some people too think, I've got this great idea. I put so much money into the prototype and the design and this. I'm going to be making money after 6 months or a year, or maybe, but probably not. And you have to know that is how it is. And you have to just be consistent, and you have to also just not give up because you're not making instant money. That's not usually the way it works. But yeah.
And launch small, like launch one product. Don't like develop this full range. Like, just be like, I've had a business before that failed, and it was like, just a fashion line, and it was my name, and it was tons of different products, and every season we came out with all this new stuff, and we, did runway shows and blah, blah, blah. No, don't do that. Like, and don't do the equivalent of that. You know what I mean? Like, keep it really narrow, keep it really tight. Find this one hero product that, like, when you tell your friends about it, they're like, "Oh my God, I need that. I want that." It can't just be your need. Like, it has to be like when you tell other people about it, they're like, "I want that," you know? Not like, "Oh, surely someone will want this." Like, they need to be like, "Yes, that's awesome," you know? And then just like develop that one hero product, buy it small, get it out there, test it.
For sure.
Yeah, definitely. The MVP got to go with the minimum viable
Right.
product
Exactly.
every time. Keep it lean as possible. And I mean, that's one of the things I always see. Like we see it on Shark Tank all the time. It's like, I got 100 SKUs or even 50 SKUs, and it's like, well, you're literally just getting started. So how are you dividing up the time, the energy, and the money, the little bit that you have, or the limited to know that you have, and being able to divide that amongst all those things, and
Right.
then market to all those people to get enough attention for each of
No.
them to be able to
No.
float it. It's
Don't do
maddening, and it's
that.
maddening for other people too, right? Because people want to be able to see one thing and think, oh, that's the thing. It's
Right.
that one thing, right? Like, we don't have the resources that like a Pepsi Frito-Lay has, right? Where we're like, oh, we
Right.
just, we put it in the silos, and then when you think of, chips, you think of this company, or even you think of soda, you think of a Pepsi, and we have other lines that are, colas as well, but they are just separate. Like they have their own branding, their own, you wouldn't even, with the exception of maybe Diet Pepsi, you wouldn't know that it's a Pepsi company.
Right.
Did we lose him?
Oh, we lost him.
God.
It's
Oh, we're
songs
off.
will randomly
No.
just be taken out.
Weird. Oh, I was just talking. Everything was fine. Weird. Um,
Sure, it was good. I'm sure it was good
yeah,
stuff.
yeah. Well, I was talking about where did they drop off at? Pepsi, and how they have their own silos and stuff. Oh no, what is going on
Oh, no.
here? It's like musical chairs. All right. I know
I
we
like
gotta.
it. It adds a little excitement.
I know.
You
Yeah,
never
right.
know who's going
You never
out.
know who's chopping off. I know we got to wrap up here in a minute, but real quick, you want to give your 30-second answers to these last two questions before we wrap up here?
Oh, somebody
Sure.
asked something?
Yes. Can you see it?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
see
I can see
something.
it.
So it says, Udit says, joining late, so pardon if this has already been previously asked. Was the tank experience useful for your learning as an entrepreneur? And if so, how?
I think for us, when we went in there, well, first of all, the whole process of getting to pitch in front of them in itself was a learning experience with our financials, with our product, with everything. I mean, everything. Just that was personally for us. And also, what I said before we went in there is that no matter what happens, I'm going to take everything they say and use that as put it into our business, good or bad, and take that constructive criticism if they say that. And we literally took everything they said and implemented it into our business. For instance, Mark Cuban said, you should go to grocery. And we had been thinking about that, but we didn't really do anything with that right away. So we did that pretty much right away, working on that and different things like that. So everything that they said, we were like sponges and took that in. So yes, it was very useful for us personally.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, just the amount of you really have to get your financials together. You really have to learn and understand your financials, how your business is doing, what your growth plan is. So in that way, it was really helpful. Also, me personally, I had never pitched to anyone before. Probably probably should have gotten a little practice before I went on there, as you can see from my performance. But like, it taught me a lot about pitching, and we are going to raise a significant amount of money in August or September. So I'm so glad that I got that because I had prepared so much. I had prepared my financials really well, and I had prepared how to deal when they made me an offer, which I was not prepared for them to not like it or have doubts or have issues and question certain aspects of my business. So that was really helpful for me. That really made me realize, like, if you go into a pitch, you need to be prepared for any question. And the questions they ask me are the questions that any investor would ask me. So
right. And you were
glad
doing
to know it now.
You were doing it by yourself, which I had my dad next to me. Otherwise, I don't know if I could have done it by myself. Honestly,
Right.
I don't, because you did that by yourself, and that in itself is a huge accomplishment. And I thought it was extremely amazing and amazing. So that was awesome.
Thank you. Definitely learned a lot, though. Yes.
He also asks, what's the easiest and what's the toughest thing about being an entrepreneur?
Do you want to go ahead?
The easiest or the best is, setting your own terms, doing working when you want and how you want, and building the company that you want. I mean, I worked for so many other people in the fashion industry, and I never liked the way people ran their companies. I never liked, who they were hiring for what. I never, when you work with other people, you have an issue with everything, right? And so to be able to build a company and to say, this is how, I mean, for me in fashion, this is how we're going to do fit. I never liked the way any other company did fit. These are the type of people we're going to hire. This is the kind of emphasis we're going to put on fit and marketing and blah, blah, blah. Like, to be able to say that stuff is amazing. But everything else is, oh my God, so challenging. I mean, it really, every single day, there's a new challenge, there's a new issue. I mean, hiring in general is really, really challenging. I'd say hiring is our biggest challenge right now. Figuring out who's going to be freelance, who's going to be full time. Are we willing to take this person who doesn't want to work full time, but they're amazing? But we are trying to grow to $20 million this year, and we need full time people. We can't just have freelancers. But and then, putting out job posts and getting hundreds of applications, only 3 of which are really what you're looking for, and getting through all that. So I would say hiring is the challenge. Manufacturing, and there's a lot of instability right now. There's instability in the world. For me, like, Omicron is just hitting Asia. You know what I mean? Like, you think you're like over it and it's coming back around. So the instability and all the things that can go wrong in manufacturing are the other problems. So hiring and manufacturing for me are the most difficult.
Yeah, and I would say, for kind of piggybacking on what you said, was it's amazing to have your own hours, be your own boss. I mean, that's huge. I never want to work for anybody else ever again. But also, you're your own boss. So it's kind of, it's a great thing, but it's also, for me, it's hard to shut it off sometimes. And especially with a 3-year-old and 4-year-old little boys who are constantly running around and sick a lot because of daycare and things. And, I'll be working from my kitchen and then playing, but then needing to finish an email, but then needing to do a Zoom. And it's kind of, it's the best thing, but sometimes I personally need to learn when to shut it off and when to know that, like, I don't have to get back to this person right this second. I can get back to them tomorrow morning, type of thing. So I think for me, that's the most challenging. And of course, the overseas manufacturing, everything happening there, and the price increase with everything with that, that's another thing. But there's so many benefits to it. But it's also, one thing I also love about being an entrepreneur is that every day is different too. I feel like every day there's something new, which can be good and bad, but I love that about it.
Yeah, that's true. That's definitely true. It's never boring.
Never.
Yeah. Well, it isn't. It isn't boring. And then I always say, as entrepreneurs, we're professional problem solvers. So that's like literally it's the job description for us to be able to go and handle those types of issues as they pop up. Leela, I remember when we did your interview, you had a problem with shipping. Everything got soaked or something.
Oh yeah, my boxes were wet. I mean, that's like 75 issues ago.
So, yeah, just take a number.
Yeah, exactly. We actually just hired an amazing logistics and planning person, who I'm
Woo!
so excited about, and a production person. So hopefully, I was managing all of that, like I don't know how to get my boxes shipped here. I don't know. So, yeah, hopefully get better. I would say the other challenge too, actually, with all that is letting go.
Yeah.
As you start hiring,
Mhm.
like there's certain things where I hire someone and I'm like, thank God I'm never reading an email on this subject again. You know what I mean? Like that's how I feel about like certain aspects. And there's certain things where I'm like Joe, we talked about this. Like I like to answer all the comments on the ads. Like that's like
Me too.
yeah, that's my
Yep.
obsession, and it's like we're
Yep.
running a lot of ads right now, right? Like it's going into our busy season, and we just launched new ads, and it is a lot. I have way more important stuff that I should be working on, and
Yeah.
I can't, and I don't trust anyone else to do it. So,
Same.
like
Mm.
Totally the same.
that's really hard for me. Like there's certain things that like the social media thing, the stuff that's so public facing, it's really hard for me to let go. But I know once I find the right person, I'll be like, fine.
Yep.
It makes me wonder. I wish they had a way for you to maybe they do because I haven't really looked into Facebook. I haven't run Facebook ads in a couple of years now, but they should have a manager's like a manager's login that they can reply to those comments, but then you have to approve it before it goes out.
But that's kind of the same amount of work.
But just reading instead of having to type and think about, like they do the
Yeah, that's
thinking. You're
true.
just
That's
like
true.
approve, 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 approve.
That's
Ooh,
true.
that one decline, and it sends it back to them to
Right.
because like obviously a Facebook post, the comments are constantly added, especially if you're running it like
Right.
hard.
Right.
They're gonna be coming in, so it's a lot to go back and like, ooh, where's that? I can't even find that comment
Yeah.
now because there's just so
I
much
know.
interaction.
You're
Yeah.
so
So like
right.
they need a
That's an interesting idea. Yeah. But there isn't a way to like draft, I don't think. Maybe.
Everybody's
I,
comments are so different too on Facebook, like ads.
right.
Some people say just things that just crack me up, and I'm like, okay, what?
I know. I love that stuff. But like then if you can respond in a funny way, that'll make your ad,
Yeah.
versus
Oh,
like
yes.
just
I mean,
doing that canned response.
I know forever I won't be able to do that to respond to
Right.
everybody either, but it's like I cannot let go of certain things at all. I mean, and
Yeah.
it's hard, but I remember Sarah Blakely saying on Shark Tank, if you can hire up and do something that can help you out or do something that somebody else is better at doing, do it, because we can't do it all the time, especially as our businesses are.
Right.
But I have a very hard time with that too.
Yeah, but no one's better at the comments than me. No one. No. Well, the other thing is like, I because I read every single comment, I know what people are looking for. So like, I also made the last ad, right? And I made it be- so every single thing that people say in all of my comments, because for me, I have a lace back swimsuit, you pull the ties, it sucks you in, right? Everyone goes, I would look like a busted can of biscuits. Everyone says this, right? This is like such a common thing, right? So in the ad, I put a quick clip of a model holding a busted can of biscuits, right? So once the first comment came in, I was like, please
Shut
see
it
the
down.
ad. There's a model holding a busted can of biscuits so you can see the difference, right? And everyone's like, oh, that's the best thing I've ever seen. Everyone like went back and watched the ad and was like, oh my God, I can't believe that's in there. I would have never known to shoot that and put it in if I hadn't been reading all the comments. But
Mhm.
yeah, gotta let it go. Someone, I gotta. I obviously, you know what it is. I think that I'm too clever. I think that I'm so clever. That's my problem. I'm like, good one, good one.
Well, you're in LA, right?
Yeah,
So you should be able to find some improv artist or something that, needs a part-time job answering YouTube comments.
but then it's like, are they gonna be as like? I want it done the
Well,
minute
you
it
got to
comes
find the
in.
right one. You got to find the
Yeah,
right
yeah, yeah.
one, obviously. So you
Well,
got to do the interview process, which, it kind of goes off this question here from
that's an
Brian, who
interesting
says,
idea, though.
is a plan organizer worth the investment, even if you have other employees doing certain tasks, examples, HR, and training?
As a plan organizer, what's a plan? Even if you have other employees doing certain tasks.
Oh, you sound like a robot.
Yeah. Okay, it's not just me. Well, I mute myself too.
Oh, me? Is that?
Oh.
Okay, I might fix it.
Okay. Can you hear me? I had to take out my headphones.
Oh no, that's probably what it is.
Oh, okay. They're dead.
I'll take a plan organizer. Okay, for my kids, for everything.
I'm sorry. Everything is robotic now.
All right, let me mute myself. I'm gonna mute myself.
Okay. Oh, you know what? I can mute you from here. Okay, cool. Oh, still. Oh, wait. Okay, there we go. So, I'm sorry. What were you gonna say, Lindsay?
I was going to say, I want a plan organizer for my life. Like, I want like a personal assistant for my life. I want somebody to do my laundry, okay, that's upstairs, that's been sitting there for years, but that's on the back burner because, not years, but a week.
Just buy new clothes. It's okay.
I don't want to do it, but
to you.
I personally do not have an organizer, but I think if it's something that's going to serve you and it's going to benefit you and make your life a little bit less stressful, do it. Oh, that's a great voice for metal. List.
For metal voice band vocalist. No, I think that any position that you can afford to, responsibly hire for, is great. To be able to fill that that need, and if you get to a point where it's like, oh, we need a nanny. Right. If that's what you need in order to be able to have the hours to do what you need to do. Like that's really where you need to be looking, right? But you gotta do the sales first. You gotta do the work, right? You gotta answer all the comments and pack all the product in and get it shipped yourself until you have enough. No, I'm cutting out. Oh no, man, this is just not going well.
We're done.
Am I still cutting out?
No. Oh.
Okay.
A little bit.
All right. We need to wrap this up anyway. Oh no, I can't. I tried to unmute. All right, we're gonna wrap this up. All right, everyone, we greatly appreciate you watching and making it to the end here. This is not how I expected the end of my video. I don't think I've ever had a video end like this. But anyway, it has been an absolute pleasure to have Leela Shams and Lindsay Flyshower, did I say it right?
Yep.
Here with us today on Tank Talk. I'll see you in one of these two videos over here. Take care and go be super.